Hi, everyone. Um, let's give this a couple of minutes before we jump into our webinar, just so that everyone has time to join. So I'll give this maybe 2 minutes. Okay. Hi, everyone who's here, and thank you for joining us. My name is Tina, and I'm the marketing manager for 79 Consulting. I do the usual marketing stuff, brand awareness, promotional campaigns, collateral, lead generation. Our webinar today is going to talk about how to integrate your web store with NetSuite. So if you use NetSuite for ERP but rely on other providers such as Shopify, WooCommerce, BigCommerce, or Magento for your e-commerce platform, then integrating the two is essential to ensure a smooth flow of order, inventory, item, customer, and shipping data. So that's what we are going to be talking about today. I hope you find it informative. Now, a quick note to our audience, if you have any questions that come up during this session, please post them in our chat box. We have a member of our ecom team who's here to answer your questions in real time. Okay. For everyone who's new here, just a quick overview of our company. We were founded as Twarna in 2007, and our global brand is 79 Consulting. We've been providing support, managed services, and integration services for NetSuite and Salesforce clients since then. We also have a number of Suite apps that you can find on suiteapp.com if you just use the search term Twarna. That's Tvarana. Okay, I'd like to introduce today's expert, Athra Nair. So Athra leads 79 Consulting's ecom practice and has almost a decade of hands-on experience integrating NetSuite with third-party ecom platforms. She also has a lot of experience with SuiteCommerce Advanced Site Builder, and Core NetSuite. Athra and her team are responsible for building, maintaining, and upgrading websites. Hey, Athra.
Hey, Tina.
Okay, let's just start off with the basics here. Athra, could you tell our audience just what is ecom integration?
Of course. So e-commerce integration or e-commerce focused integration is something that we hear a lot about these days. And a good place to begin is by defining what exactly it is, right? And you know that e-commerce businesses have grown at an unprecedented rate these recent years, especially during the pandemic. And rapidly growing businesses very often need third-party solutions like CRM and ERP to help them scale and manage the volume. And all of these systems need to be in sync with each other to ensure continuity of business operations. Even a lag in something like updating inventory levels or item information or order information could lead to a disruption in operations and also provide a suboptimal experience for customers. E-commerce integration is a data transfer between your e-commerce platform, such as Shopify or Magento or WooCommerce, and components that are critical to your business, such as accounting, inventory, sales, CRM, marketing, or your ERP platform. E-commerce integration allows you to save a bunch of time, and just simply put, you only need to enter your data once for it to have it transferred throughout your system and stored in a manner that allows everybody to access it, for each individual customer account. E-commerce website integration enables you to make data-driven decisions on customer experience and marketing. You get the opportunity to accumulate information about customers, their shopping preferences, the popularity of your products, and any other important metrics in one place. And with this knowledge, you can adapt to the patterns in customer behavior and guide their buying journeys accordingly.
Got it, Athara. Now, just hearing that, I would think that e-commerce integration is a pretty big project. Why would someone want to take this on? What would be the benefits of this kind of integration?
So there are several benefits. I'll go through them one by one. The first one is automation and streamlining of data, right? Integration of systems allows you to store data in one single centralized system, one source of truth, instead of first passing through other independent systems, which may require duplication of data. With integration, the accuracy of customer and product data can be guaranteed a lot better. And it also eliminates the need to enter data manually in different systems. This is key because manual data entry comes with its own challenges, such as inaccuracy and inconsistency, and also just human things like lack of coordination between departments. Resource and time optimization is another benefit. E-commerce integration allows businesses to optimize their time on a day-to-day basis on processes. This happens through the automation of certain functions like sending customers their notifications and emails. Integration also saves time by speeding up the exchange of data between the related systems, so between your front-end website and your ERP or your CRM. It also facilitates occasional lag-free updates to the overall system and constant updates to the business's inventory, which is very important when you have a website.
Right.
Businesses are also spared from having to sift through loads of the same data, any duplicate data, which keeps them engaged adequately with and focused on their primary business, which is the delivery of competitive products or services.
What about customer experience?
So I believe that e-commerce integration definitely helps enhance customer experience, and it helps a business allocate its resources more effectively, which ultimately benefits customers by giving them the best service possible. Right? Efficiently integrated systems also allow all components to retain a 360-degree view of the customer, allowing the business to provide the best possible service, to their customers, even if their customer service platform is different from their e-commerce platform or their CRM or their ERP. It also helps with data integrity and accuracy, and we mentioned this a little bit before. Having the right data allows companies to identify potential market trends, and this helps a business preemptively do the necessary groundwork to remain at the forefront of its industry. In addition, staying relevant protects a business from the risk of going obsolete and ultimately winding up. Accurate data on pricing and inventory and the availability and quantity of products and services encourages customers to remain loyal to your business. And as a result, a happy and satisfied customer is less likely to look for other providers for products and services.
Okay. These sound like pretty good reasons to integrate Athra. Now, what would an e-commerce integration project look like?
So it is not a small project, and it is not something that should be undertaken very lightly. It requires a lot of upfront planning and understanding your business and what you're looking to get to be successful. So I'll walk through the different stages of such a project, and we will, of course, start with the planning phase. right? It's the most important phase, if you ask me, of an integration project. And there are several things to do in the planning phase. The first of all is preparing your data and understanding your data, right? So somebody from your business, whoever is responsible for this project, should work with their team and familiarize themselves with the data in your systems. So watch out for things like errors and duplications and eliminate them right now so they don't become a problem later on and then you have to fix them in multiple systems, or you have to spend resources and time to work around these errors. This will allow you to reduce the work of data cleansing at a later stage in the project, right? And help you save a bunch of resources. The next thing to do is to identify any manual and repetitive tasks and processes in your system that can be automated or replaced through integration. A lot of times we find that we do things a certain way because our current system does it that way. But when you integrate with an ERP like NetSuite that has a bunch of automation related features and best practices of its own, this is a good time to rethink your tasks and processes, especially if they are not streamlined, and think about how to do it better in NetSuite or your ERP of choice. Right? The third thing, very important, is to estimate the volume of data that will be transferred between systems. Now, it's not just data that will be transferred currently, because you are not just building your integration for today. You should also look ahead and see what volumes you expect as your business grows through the years. And this is important because correctly estimating data volumes will help you pick an integration solution, right? And I'd like to talk a little more in detail about picking an integration solution, because there are different ways of integrating a web store with NetSuite. And this aspect of it is going to be fully NetSuite focused. We'll talk about the two major ways of doing it. One is custom coded solutions, and the other is an iPaaS solution, such as Delboomi or Celigo, MuleSoft, or Jitabit.
Right. Now, why would uh, a business choose one way of integrating over the other? How does one choose?
So there are a lot of different parameters based on which you make the choice. So let's discuss this, right? So for a custom coded solution, let me list out the pros first. There's no additional subscription required for a middleware, right? You can connect your website APIs directly to NetSuite if it's a RESTlet, or any code for any web service code will reside within the server of your choice. If you choose to go the web services route. So there's no need to pay an additional subscription cost for an integration platform, right? And a custom solution can handle technical complexity that is unique to your business, because the entire solution is designed and tailored to your business needs, your processes, and your transformations. And that can be recreated exactly as needed in the code. Now, for simple integrations, the cost is also kept low, because the only cost involved is to develop the RESTlets or the web service code, right? So for a small, simple, straightforward integration, I would say the cost of a custom solution would be lower than that for an iPaaS solution.
Okay.
Right, now, let me list the cons of this approach. One of them is scalability, right? As your systems grow in complexity, and as the number of touch points that need to be integrated increases, this sort of hand coding becomes difficult and unsustainable as an integration solution. So I would not recommend this to an enterprise solution that has multiple touch points. Maintenance is another issue. Even after, hand-coded connectors are deployed, in-house developers need to perform any ongoing maintenance and upgrades for the integrations to run smoothly. Also, each time NetSuite releases an upgraded version of its SaaS offering, which is twice a year, existing connectors may need to be manually upgraded or at the very least reviewed each time. And the last thing is you don't get any additional features that integration platforms come with, like redundancy management. And also it can't handle very high volumes that an integration platform comes with. So those are the cons of a custom solution.
Got it.
Right?
Yeah. What about
And
iPaaS?
iPaaS, yes. So iPaaS, what is iPaaS? Let me start by defining that. iPaaS is integration platform as a service, and it is usually a platform that standardizes how applications are integrated into an organization, making it easier to automate business processes and share data across applications. With iPaaS, users can develop integration flows that connect applications residing in the cloud or on-premise, and then deploy them without installing or managing any hardware or middleware. Platforms such as MuleSoft, Celigo, and Boomi are commonly used to integrate with NetSuite. And I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of this approach as well, just like we did for the custom-coded solution. The pros are several platform options are available, from solutions that support simple integrations, like Celigo's prepackaged offerings that you can just sort of buy and deploy, to enterprise solutions like MuleSoft that can handle extremely complex integrations with many touch points and high volumes. Scalability is another advantage. iPaaS solutions can be designed to scale with your business growth and handle large volumes of data as needed. Cost is often, iPaaS is often more cost effective than custom solutions when you have a large scale complex integration, because they offer connectors and they offer pre-built transformations that you don't have to code from scratch. Right? And the last thing I want to talk about is maintenance here. iPaaS solutions are easy to deploy and maintain, and often do not require you to have an in-house developer to allow it to perform optimally. Now, it is not all pros here. There are a couple of disadvantages. One is that depending on the number of touch points, your subscription costs may add up. So subscription costs for iPaaS solution usually include a certain number of touch points. And if you have, say, 6 or 7 systems to be integrated, then you may have to pay additional subscription costs for touch points. The last con that I want to talk about is also kind of, we mentioned that in the advantages, which is, you have so many options that it's sometimes difficult to choose the right one for your budget and your needs, right? You don't want to pick a high cost enterprise solution if you are not expecting that kind of complexity. But then coming into the project as someone who's not an expert in integration related projects, it can be very difficult to make the right choice of platform. And once you do decide and go ahead with the project, switching platform later on is resource intensive and expensive, because you're going to have to redo a lot of the work if you switch the platforms.
Right. I'm sure that's given our audience a lot of food for thought, Atra, in terms of picking a mode of integration. It could sound quite overwhelming, right? So, where should our audience turn for help?
So a good partner, the right partner with expertise in the e-commerce domain, who's worked on integrations, who understands your backend ERP, can really help, right? And they can help with even picking the right platform for you, right? They should be able to advise you once they understand your business's needs, what kind of solution you need. Do you need a custom coded solution, or do you need an iPaaS solution? And if you need an iPaaS solution, can you do with like a prepackaged solution, or do you need something more heavyweight like MuleSoft? The right partner should be able to guide you on this decision. And I would say, while integrating with NetSuite, it also helps to have a partner who understands the NetSuite domain and who's done integrations before. So if you're going through this process, don't hesitate to ask your partner for their credentials and for testimonials. What experience do they have in similar projects? And also lean on them for guidance on everything, starting from decision about your solution to your timeline and what kind of resources are needed and so on.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. Before we go any further, I just want to interrupt our flow for not more than a minute while I put in a quick poll. I don't know if I mentioned this at the beginning of our webinar that we like to post polls just to get a better idea of our audience and what they need. So you should see that on your screen right now. Okay, I hope everyone is seeing it. All right. Thanks for those who responded. Thanks to those who responded. And Athara, back to you. How does one prepare for a project of this scale?
So by now, you should have identified a solution as well as a partner for your integration, right? And once you have these two, you must work with the partner to prepare for the project, and they must work on the design for the implementation, right? So first thing to do is you should walk the development team, which is at this point should be the technical architect and or a business consultant, through your processes and explain what makes them unique to your business, right? Everybody has an order to cash flow. Everybody who has a web store sells items, but every business has things that are specific to them and that make them just that little bit different from standard process. So walk them through each of these processes, and don't skip processes that are currently manual, and don't skip the ones that are not clearly defined. So if there's an ambiguity, or if you do things that are, dependent on one particular resource because they've done them for, say, 10 years, don't skip those. Make sure you call them out because it is important to document them and include them in your integration. The next thing to do is from the development team side, which is to prepare a process mapping document. So the dev team should take all of the info that you give them and prepare a mapping document that shows all of the processes that are covered and all of the records that will be integrated. So very commonly in an e-commerce integration, data is usually broken down into master data, such as your customer item records, and transactional data, which are, sales order, cash sale, item fulfillment, invoice payments, cash refunds, returns, etc. So master data, is data without which transactions cannot be created. Other important data includes inventory adjustments, transfers, etc., that will affect inventory on your web store. So for all of these different kinds of data, you must decide how often they are synced, which way the data will flow, which system will perform what, and if you have a different source of truth for, say, items versus transactions, you must define those as well. You must also make important decisions on, say, which system is going to do the credit card authorizations if you have if you accept credit cards on your website, right? If it is your web store that is doing credit card authorization, then you must make sure that authorization flows back to NetSuite so that the payment capture can occur in NetSuite. And you must also give due consideration to any sort of reconciliation, right? So if there are chargebacks, for example, how are you going to handle them? And you have to define and document all of these processes and review them with your partner. Once you've put all of this in place, the partner should be able to give you an estimate of what it'll cost to do this implementation. And then you can determine a realistic timeline for implementation and also prepare a cutover plan for when you're ready to take the integration live, right? At this point, you should also determine who will be the point of contact and who will own the project from your side, what kind of time is required from them to help keep the project running. Okay, that's it for our preparation stage.
Now on to execution, right?
Execution, yes. So that is usually the phase that takes the longest, right? Because that is where you take all of your planning, all of your design, and actually build it out, flesh it out, right? And the major player in this phase is the dev team. So a good dev team should be able to build to specifications while also, accommodating any small changes that are discovered during this phase. We all like to think that we have a watertight design and that all requirements have been communicated, but I have personally not done a single project where, no surprises have come up during the dev stage, right? So they should be able to handle that. And ideally, development should be done in an agile fashion so that iterative testing can be performed. So there should be milestones every week or every 2 weeks that can be reviewed and demonstrated and can be passed on to the client's team so that they can test what has been created. For example, let's think about customer sync, right? So when a customer logs in or creates an account on the website, that customer's information should flow through to the ERP. Now, there are two ways you can go about it. A, you can say that, okay, the ERP may not need to know about the leads, but let's say it does for the sake of this example, right? So if that flow is completed in the first couple of weeks, that is something that the client's team can go in and test, right? So such iterative testing makes sure that the client's team is comfortable with what is being built, that everything is being built out to spec, and they don't get too deep into the implementation phase to learn that we were going in the wrong direction. So I highly recommend Agile for development. Testing is also a major part of this phase because as each flow and process is built out, it must be tested to ensure that it works both on its own and also with other integrations in the system. So as an example, order flow, right? Sales orders are placed on your website and they must flow through to NetSuite and be created as a sales order in NetSuite. But in order for that to happen, your customers have to be created first, because without the customer, the sales order creation will not happen, right? So there's a flow that has to work on its own, and also with the customer creation flow that we talked about just a minute ago. And you will see as you get further into the implementation phase that most processes are dependent on another one to perform optimally. So make sure that you're testing them in isolation and also performing an overall system testing to make sure that all your processes work as expected. Now, towards the end of the implementation phase, any key data should be migrated and synced between the systems that are integrated so that they can be tested, that the syncs can be tested, and you can also test with real world data to make sure that everything is working as expected.
Okay, that's a lot of information that we have covered, Athara, and we just a note to our audience, we have a little bit more to go. So if you have any questions, now would be the time to ask. And like I said, our team member will be responding to your queries. Right. So moving on, Athara.
So the last phase of the project, or at least the active project, is the most nail-biting one, which is the launch. And this is where you've completed the implementation. It has been tested by the dev team as well as the client's team. It's gone through user acceptance testing, and you are now ready to take it live, right? So you can release it to your live environment, and it can start handling traffic between your web store and ERP. Right, so once the flows are deployed, once your platform is live, new integrations, I recommend that you monitor them and adjust them over the first few days to make sure that the data is flowing, that there are no unforeseen circumstances, because up until now, your integrations were tested by people who know the systems, right? The dev team knows the systems. Your business users know both the systems as well as have a deep knowledge of your business, but your customers don't. And customers, especially website customers, always do unexpected things, right? So make sure you're monitoring the integrations and taking care of any exception cases. Take help from the dev team if needed to stand by and take care of any tickets on a priority basis, and adjust for any changes that you see. And once you launch, you can't just set it and forget it. You do have to monitor once in a while. So I always recommend that somebody in-house, doesn't need to be a developer, but someone needs to be assigned who understands the platform, knows how things work, and if there are errors, also know when to, where to log in and check the dashboard and so on. And you can also, you may find that you may need your integration to be enhanced as time goes on, right? You may add more functionality, or you may add more business rules. And these are things that very often I find that clients cannot do on their own. So if you're happy with your dev team, reach back out to them, have them scope out the changes, and see if they're doable. And if you're making major changes, such as introducing a new system a new platform into your ecosystem, then that is a project on its own. So make sure that you're considering the timeline and the impact of such an introduction. Yep, so that's it. That's all I wanted to say, Tina.
Awesome. I guess that about wraps it up from us. And if any questions come up, you go back home and something comes to mind, please reach out to us. Athara is there to respond to you. And if you do want to watch this again, please shoot us an email, and I can send you a recording so you can absorb it a little bit better. And here's our contact information, so you can ping us. And I hope you enjoyed all the content. I hope to see you in our next session. Bye.